Welcome to the Hardheaded Podcast,
where we are taking a practical and realistic approach to becoming better fathers.
All right, everybody, welcome to Hardheaded Podcast. I'm Troy Trussell, your host today, and with me, as always, is Mr. Matt Amos and Mr. Chet Sears. We've been taking a break from our normal scheduled programming and bringing you something a little different that we have been going through. It's called 23 Qualities of a Good Father. And it's on middleclassdad.com. And we thought this would be good. Take a little break and dive into the attributes of being a good dad. So this week we're talking on, so there's 23 of them. This week we're talking through 16, 17, and 18. 16 is follow through on your promises if you fall short. And then 17 is tell and show your kids you love them every day. And then 18, treat your spouse or your ex with dignity. So let's jump right into the first one, follow through on your promises if you fall short. What do you guys think about that?
I think it's funny that it says if you fall short. It should say when you fall short, because
oh, well, yeah, for sure.
You're gonna not be able to keep everything that you promise.
Yeah, so what that actually says is, I'm sorry, I typed that out onto the spreadsheet, but I was kind of shorthanding it a little bit.
Yeah.
It's follow through on your promises, and if you fall short every now and again, see number 2.
Okay.
So go back to number 2.
Say you're sorry.
Which is say you're sorry. Yeah.
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 You're sorry, Matt.
I just said that. I apologize.
It told me to tell you that.
For not typing through the whole thing.
Yeah, I think it's good to, number one, your kids know you're not perfect. They know it.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. Well, actually, that's number 2. Number 1, you're not perfect as a parent. Number 2, your kids know it. So when that time comes, when you have let them down, you committed to something and it can't happen, definitely apologize for it. But the main thing is don't commit to something that you're not going to be able to follow through for. That's a general rule if you're going to give a commitment. So we're in the summer, the neighborhood pools are open, and your kids want to go swimming, and they come to you at 7:30 in the morning, and I want to go swimming, and you're going to say, yeah, I'll take you later. The pools aren't open. That I'll take you later, you need to do it. Like you need to follow through on that. If there is no chance that you're going to be able to follow through on that, don't say I'm taking you later today. Maybe you could say we're going to go later this week, but by golly, you better go later this week. That is just a good way to build confidence in a relationship. Follow through on your commitments, and your kids can learn to trust you if the almost everything that you tell them is going to happen that's in your control happens. Now, if it's not in your control, you shouldn't be saying that it's going to happen.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
Right.
Yeah. That's good. I've also heard, don't say no all the time.
Yeah.
Does that kind of fall under that? Like if they ask, they keep asking something. I don't really have a good example.
Ice cream. Let's go for ice cream. Let's get ice cream. Let's go to ice cream. Let's go eat ice cream after dinner every day.
Yeah.
Then maybe one day. Well, no, what I would do, and this, I don't good or bad, take it as you will. I would decide before ahead of time, like, hey, we're going to get ice cream after today. And before they had a chance to ask, I would tell them, just to,
so they couldn't ask.
I'm the one who decides this.
Yeah. But instead of saying no, using other words to say no, but
yeah, I don't know. I understand that, but I mean, I remember asking. So my dad was like the gatekeeper on the big events when I was in. When you're old enough to drive, this is how it was in my house. When I was old enough to drive and kind of have my life, but I still had to get permission, borrow the car, whatever.
Yeah.
And it was in, I don't know, maybe it was like this in your house. I go ask my mom, hey, Mom, would it be all right? And if she gave me why don't you go ask your dad? I was like, it went from like a 50% chance of a fun evening to a 95% chance I'm going to get told no. Like that. But it wasn't just no every time. It was like, not tonight, or nah, or son, why are you asking me this right now? You know, it's like that kind of stuff. You're like, gosh, there's still a no, right? And you still feel the same way, no matter if it's the word or have you cleaned your room, son? Like, well, not going tonight.
I get that, but as long as it's not something detrimental to their health or safety, why say no every time? I guess
Depends on what they ask.
as long as it's not detrimental to their health, safety, and it's not like like or detrimental to your health or safety.
I mean, that goes back to what Chad was saying earlier. If you do say yes, you got to follow through. Like, can we get ice cream? Yeah.
Later this week.
Start with the word yes. Like, yes, we can get ice cream, but we're not going to go until tomorrow.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the psychology.
Yes,
behind.
I guarantee you we're going to get ice cream before you die.
Sometime between now and 35.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you just answer any of those like that require money. Anytime they ask it, no matter how old they are, do you have a job? Because you could pay for ice cream right now if you had a job.
Are you old enough to have a car?
I'm sorry, I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not picking on your daughter like you do.
I don't pick on her.
All right. Well,
I could say it on my son. Well, you could drive yourself if you didn't just wreck that car into a tree. You know.
If you didn't flood it.
That's right. Monsoon season.
I got to hear that story the other night. Flooded truck.
Yep. Heard about that one.
Yep.
All right. Number 17. Tell and show your kids you love them every day. What do you think about that? Sometimes dads are not as affectionate with their children as moms are. Did that kind of lead to your 50%? Mom was more affectionate?
No,
95?
she was just more apt to say yes.
Yeah.
Probably to get me out of the house because I was being disrespectful earlier in the week or something. I don't know. Yeah, I'm a fan of this. I don't really have a problem. Given the like the hugs for the son kind of came about with college, like when he comes home or something like that. It's but with the girls, it's almost every day. Like when they come home, I get home from work or they come home from whatever.
I was going to say the same thing. I mean, I hug my kids every day, ask them how their day was.
Oh yeah.
All of that. I'm not as good with a verbal "I love you." I could definitely do better at that.
Yeah, we're pretty good at that, especially going to bed at night, say your prayers, love you, good night. All the kids always want a hug before they go to sleep. So 5 hugs every night from sometimes both of us, sometimes just the one that puts them to bed. But lately it's been both of us kind of tag teaming it, doing it together, which has been good. Yeah, there's not a lack of hugging going on at our house. So, but did you know my dad has never been a big hugger, like ever, when it comes to
I don't believe that.
his son.
Oh, his son. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know about
No,
that.
his daughter, his daughter-in-law, his grandkids, hugs them all.
He's a good kisser on the cheeker too.
Oh yeah, for the ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I appreciate that about him.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah.
We've side hugged one time.
Dude, you're just going to have to.
I know. I don't know. He doesn't want to.
Yeah.
So it's fine.
You're bigger than him.
We shake hands.
You could like.
He shook my hand my whole life.
You can get up on there and he can't resist it.
I don't know, man. It's just weird.
Yeah.
I get it because I'm not that way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'm hugging both of you guys before we leave tonight.
not a big hugger,
I
man.
am. You guys lack hugs.
Except for my kids.
I know. I'm hugging you guys all the time.
I
now.
don't lack
You
hugs.
got a hug void.
I get hugs all the time.
Manly hugs.
I think the reason I don't hug my dad is
Well, then
because
you can't give them.
Huh?
I think the reason I've never just gone up and hugged him because I want him to initiate. I think deep down I've always wanted my dad just to hug me, and he never has.
He has a side hug.
It's not a hug, man.
Huh?
It's not a hug.
It is.
That's like a hug you have to give somebody at church or school.
Yeah.
But
It's a hug. Hug is in the title of side hug.
It is.
Technically.
I'm on a mission.
For what?
I'm going to figure this out.
You gonna get my dad to hug me?
Huh? I've never hugged your dad, if that makes you feel any better.
Well, you're not his son. You're his son-in-law.
His son's in the title.
Yeah. It's different. It's different.
It is, but I mean, it's still the same result. Still no hugs being given.
That's right.
Like if I was like, oh, dude, man, we hug every time we see each other. Like, then that would send you over the edge.
Oh.
I'm just confirming that we don't hug.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah. It's good. I'm glad you don't hug.
Yeah. We handshake.
Yeah, we handshake all the time. Yeah.
I've done a little bit more, and this isn't necessarily towards your dad. I've done a little bit more of the old shoulder pat here lately. You're just random people.
I like the shoulder pat.
Yeah.
I'd prefer you not touch me again.
Huh?
It's okay.
Well, we all have our preferences, Matt.
Oh, man.
It's better than a hug, I guess.
All right, 18. Treat your spouse or your ex with dignity. What do you think about that? I think,
man, I'll tell you what. So if we get to that ex deal, there's probably nothing more that like tension creating. Your kids love both parents, and for one parent to treat another parent in a very poor way creates so much tension on the kid. I can't even fathom it. Like how that makes some conflict, inner conflict with the kid. Disaster. But I think one of these things, well, this is really good. So your spouse, my wife, I know that the way, and this is on my mind, that the way I treat my wife, the way I talk to her, the way that we disagree with each other is setting an expectation for my daughters on their future husbands. So if I do not speak politely to my wife, my daughter will find it okay for some guy that's dating her to not be nice to her. So not only do I love my wife, I consciously think about, am I setting an example that very few young men are going to be able to achieve? Because there are a lot of dorks out there that do not treat women like they should. And if my daughters have a good enough example, and the same for my son, this is how I'm going to have to behave. If I'm going to, land somebody that's out of my league, it must be the way that my dad treats my wife, or treats my mom, because by golly, I don't know how he did that. At least it starts with being nice, because that's about all I got.
Yeah. No, that's good. Yeah, I've always treated my spouse with dignity, honor. And you definitely want your kids to see that. And our kids know that we're on the same team. And they know that we come before them. We're number one for each other before them.
Yeah.
So I think, and I think that's important for the kids to know that. Yeah, and it's got to be.
And if you're number one, and you treat each other like crap, you're not sending a good message.
Well,
right?
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, even when
so say it and show it.
So my wife and I do argue, but we don't do it most of the time in front of the kids. I can think of a few times where we've argued in front of the kids, but never, where it's been bad in front of the kids. I don't think, because it just, I don't know. We don't really argue or fight a whole lot, so it's kind of
disagreements.
Yeah, mostly on being on time.
Right.
That's like my number one pet peeve. Just be on time.
Yeah.
I do want my daughters to see that. Hey, the reason Dad's upset, not on time.
dude.
Avoid name calling and profanity at all costs. It
Yeah, I
says
mean,
here.
and especially because I can just think of a few examples of people that are going through or have been through a divorce and stuff like that, and it wasn't a good one, and trying to turn the other, like basically saying things to the kids that, I mean, you
Use the kids as a weapon.
yeah, I mean, and leave the kids out of it. I mean, if you're going to argue, don't do it in front of the kids. Don't say anything bad about the other person in front of the kids. Because like you said, the kids love both parents. Don't make them pick sides.
Right.
Because they're gonna grow up and be strippers or serial killers or something. So
That was not from the article.
yeah, that wasn't written in there. It was just something I threw in. But
Yeah.
Oh, that's
That's Matt.
not funny, but it is. Anyway, y'all got anything else to add on this topic?
Oh, I got a little Bible verse here. You ought to know us by now that our goal is to share Christ and to lead people into His Word. And these here hit me pretty strong. This little group of 3, that if your intent as a parent is to grow your kids up in the fear and instruction of the Lord, which is that verse in Ephesians 6:4, if you don't treat your spouse with respect, if you don't follow through on your promises, you're representing Christ to them, by the way. And if you're not reliable, or if you don't show them any love or affection, you're going to have an extremely hard time impressing the love of Christ on your kids as they're in your home. So Deuteronomy 6:6-7 came to mind. These commandments that I give you today are to be on your hearts. Impress them on your children. Talk about them when you sit at home, when you walk along the road, when you lie down, and when you get up. So the Bible's telling us that we are to, throughout our day, not like in these scheduled instances, but as you're home, as you're traveling, when it's time for bed, all those things, you should be impressing the Lord's commandments on your kids. If that's happening throughout the day, and sandwiched between those happenings are you not following through on your promises, you never telling them you love them, or you not treating your spouse with dignity and respect, then your message is not getting through. So if that is your goal, you're going to have to really rein in the way that you're behaving in these areas around your kids. And Deuteronomy 6:6-7 handles that very well.
That's good. All right, thanks, Chet. Next week, we're going to hit up 19, 20, and 21. 19 is interesting. Don't use profanity in front of kids until they are in high school. 20, let them be a kid. 21, teach them about finances. I'm excited to jump into that next week. Thanks for listening to the Hardheaded Podcast. Don't forget to share this podcast with others to help us get the word out.
Also, if you haven't yet, please rate and review the show. This helps our podcast show up in other people's suggested shows that may or may not have listened to us before.
thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.